This is woke up with DP. I'm sure that's what he meant. I don't know about this guy. We're kicking things off with a 3-lander with a couple of removals, a bounce, and a factory outlet that's ready to slash prices. Keep your pants on. They play out a smelf. We can't smelf what they're cooking, but I'm sure we'll see. They use the smelf to play out a Preacher. It is a solid card, but it is still rather small. We could play out our Sawblades here and take out their smelf. Then we can use the Bay to turn the Sawblades into a 3-mana artifact. But it feels like we have time to set up. On 3 mana, we drop in our first factory. There will be more. On top, we have a land and another Sawblades. From the looks of it, the Sawblades will be useful, so we'll keep everything, but let's get the land first. They play out an Ouroboros, and now I wish we'd taken out the smelf. That would have delayed this play until their next turn. We'll snare their tapeworm. We can't afford to have their men getting bigger and bigger every turn. Our first Robot Overlord will be a bit small, but those will get bigger. They go with a Revenant. That's something we'll want to snipe since we're going to be unable to block it. They follow up with a removal to snipe our Robot Overlord. This means war. We can drop our Foundry here and still have mana for our submarine. Let's stink their battleship. We'll bounce their Preacher. The Revenant would have been a good target as well, but we can use a Sawblades for that one. They fire off a Pulse, but they've used it too early. Sure, they take out our factory, but we've got a way to get another already in hand. And if they had waited a few turns, they could have taken out multiple synthesizers. They follow up with a removal to snipe our Robot Overlord. We seem to have problems keeping them in play. With us down to 7, we need to do something about their men. Let's Sawblades the smelf, then we'll cut down their Revenant. That will leave only their token. We could activate our submarine, so we'll have a body to block with. They could have more removal, but then that could be one less removal they have for our future Robot Overlords. Let's do it. Here comes the Preacher. He's like Jesus, comes right back to do it again. They follow up another smelf, but this time there hasn't been a removal. Maybe the well ran dry. We draw a Helm, which will be great once we have a factory. It's time for the Bay to come on down, and we can start turning Sawblades into 3-mana artifacts. We'll get a Snare this time. We need to keep their men under control. There's no shortage of Preachers, apparently. We're fine with it. Our Robot Overlords will trade with it. They burn their Revenant on their token. They should have used that on their Preacher. We draw another sub, but that will be our play after we fetch out a factory. We'll bounce their token. That was money well spent. They say nice deck, we know, bro. That's why we play it a lot. They smurf it up in here. That's a lot of mana, and no further removals. Should have held on to some. And they don't even send in the Preacher. You can feel the tables starting to turn. We'll play out our Helm, then we'll send it. Let's get in there. They can trade away their Preacher for our Robot Overlord, which would be fine with us. They throw away a Smurf instead. That too is fine. They'll be running out of men this way. They play out an Acolyte. As long as they don't start generating tokens, we should be fine. They send the Preacher. Suddenly their courage has been renewed. While it is only 2 damage, we'd prefer to not take any if we can avoid it. Let's trade away our Robot Overlord. Now they go to snipe the last of our AI, but they seem to not know about the Helm. We can make a new Robot Overlord at instant speed, and not only will we get a new robot, we'll get to keep the one they were trying to snipe. When is a removal not a removal? They do get a token, but we draw the perfect solution. The Authority will make their men enter tapped, and any tokens they generate won't be able to block. Let's get in there. They block with their token, but they're letting the other damages go through. That's a good chunk of their life. Walk it off, bro. We'll ramp up the pressure with yet another factory. If only they still had that pulse they used early on. Looks like they abandoned ship. We can consider their battleship stunk. All hail our Robot Overlords, that's GG's, extra Robot Overlord cheese. This is not me, you. I sense great confusion in this one. We get a 4-lander, we have a removal as well as a bounce. The 3 steps ahead could help us dig through our deck. We'll try it. Keep your pants on. We've got a Smelf town. Everyone is playing green these days. We draw a bay. Getting the Sawblades down will give us a card we can sacrifice to fetch out a factory. Let's see if they'll send in their Smelf. They play out a Dragon Sniper. It's one of those weird decks that use Death Touch men with damage-dealing spells. They follow up with a Fate Weaver. It can be sacrificed to fetch out a Spider Hero for only 2 mana. They send their Smelf the moment we've been waiting for. We'll play out the Sawblades and take out their mana. We'll go with our Bay. The next step on our next turn will be to fetch out a factory. You can tell they're thinking about using the Weaver to fetch out one of their Spider-Men. It can only be done at sorcery speed, so they can only sacrifice it during their turn. They send it, so no searching out then. I'm not sure what kind of hero they could find, but if we make a copy of our Sawblades, we can take out the Weaver. The Sniper is not a big threat, so we can take the time to stop their plans. Fire in the Spider Hole. It's very possible they have a protection spell, in which case we will have to endure the presence of their Weaver. Or they could destroy our Sawblades, which would be the worst thing to happen. Our pants would be down, and that's no fun. No destruction. So we get the token copy. And now we'll have to see if they have a protection spell. None of that either. The Weaver goes down a hole. And of course, they play out a Tapeworm. Is it just me, or do all these decks look alike? It's time to start loading our board. We'll sacrifice the Sawblades and fetch out a factory. We have enough mana to drop in a submarine and stink their battleship. On top, we have a 3 steps ahead and a land. We'll ship the mana. We've got more than enough. It's time to make them stink. We'll sloop the snoop and send their sniper back to their hand. We can use the other sub next time to bounce their tapeworm. They unload a smelf on us. It's a good start, and I'm sure the sniper is next. They fire off an overprotect. They did have a protection spell. While this might look like a great move now, they did tap out. They send it. That's a big 10-spot rumbling in, but we'll take it. We've got a strong chin. Our Scryland shows us a helm on top. I would love to keep it, but we need to deal with their men. We'll use the Bay and crack the token Sawblades to fetch out a snare. That will deal with their tapeworm. Then we'll play out the next sub to bounce their sniper. And just like that, they've been reduced to only the pumped-up Smelf. He's had a bit too much of that performance-enhancing candy. Now we can send in our Robot Overlord to kick them in their diaper. Robot Overlords always aim for the crotch. There's no reason we can't activate a sub, then we can station to help unlock our Adagia. We can use it to make a token factory. The sniper returns and they follow up with another tapeworm. The parasites are strong with this one. There's one of those fancy removals that only works when they have a death touch guy. Sure, they take down one of our men, but we've got a growing squad. We'll use our 3 steps ahead to copy our snare. We'll snag their new tapeworm. With that out of the way, we've got lethality on board. They know what's up. That's GG's extra token cheese. This is N8. Bro, what was it that you ate? What's that smell? We get a 3-lander with a Foundry, which is great because otherwise we wouldn't be able to drop in a Bay on schedule. Keep. Our Surveil land shows us a Sawblades on top. I like it. They drop in a Dimir land, so no Smelf from the opponent this game. We'll play out the Foundry. We can make a Bay on our next turn even with a tap land in hand. We draw a Fountain Port, which is nice. We'll stick to the plan and drop in the Adagia, then follow up with the Bay. Even if they have a counter, we have a second Bay. There is a hitch, but we get the Bay down. The mighty Dimir has limited options when it comes to artifacts, so getting them in play is huge for us. They tap out for a stock up. With 6 cards in hand, they'll have to toss 1 at the end of their turn. Not great timing for that. As a side note, stock up is great in control decks, but it's also great in combo decks, where it can be used to pick out combo pieces off the top. Always know your enemy, whenever possible at least. And this smacks of some sort of combo. They outsmarted themselves and got up to 8 cards. That stock up essentially got them only 1 card further along. Oopsie poopsie, bro. A singularity gives them away. Their plan is to mill us away. We do have other plans, but we're going to need to be fast. Unfortunately, we now know we can't take the time to mess around and do this the way we'd like. We need to make the sacrifice play and give up our foundry to fetch out a synthesizer. I would have rather sacrificed the Sawblades, but we don't have time to mess around. On top, we have an Adagia and a 3 steps ahead. We'll ship the land, but the 3 steps ahead can always make a difference. We'll play out the second bay to generate our first Robot Overlord. We could have gone with the sub, but let's wait and see if they drop something we can bounce. We'll station up. You never know if maybe a token synthesizer could be what wins it. Or a token sub. They fire off another stock up. They've now gotten to pick out the best 4 cards out of the top 10 from their deck. The mill plan should be ready and able to close us out. They did it again. They ended up with 8 cards in hand. There's no way around it. They'll have to toss a card, and the last time they gave away their whole deck and game plan. That's not the way to be trying to do business. Instead of tossing a card, they use a bounce to eliminate our Robot Overlord. Sure, they saved themselves some damage, but it might have been better to bounce our synthesizer. That might have been an oopsie poopsie. Our scry land shows us another scry land on top. Crazy, but we'll keep it. We'll drop in our Sawblades. We don't have a target, but we do have something we'd like to fetch out. Another factory would be great. But what if we were to grab a helm? The helm and the map tokens it generates are great at boosting our Robot Overlords. We'll station up. We're only 2 power short of fully unlocking our Adagia. They go with a Day of Black Sun. It'll take out our Robot Overlord, but it leaves them with only 2 mana. It doesn't look like there is any mill action coming our way. They fire off a consult in response to our Scryland. Not that it matters, but they probably should have done that at the end of our turn. On top we have our planetarium. I like it, and it's a way to generate more Robot Overlords. We'll hold what we got and pass the turn. They fire off a singularity to mill us for half our deck. They did tap out and we could counter it, but let's do a quick count. If we copy our synthesizer, we'll get a Robot Overlord. Then we can copy the synthesizer token on our turn for another pair of Robot Overlords. Plus we have a sub that we can play out for another set of AI men. That should be more than enough to take them down. They can have their mill. We have other plans. That's a helm on top, so we have options. All they can do is watch. It doesn't really matter what we have on top. We either win with what we have, or we're likely done if they untap. Sure enough, the helm get us another set of Robot Overlords, plus enough map tokens that we have lethality. With great power comes great beatings. Let's send it. Mill was too slow against the might of our Robot Overlords. That's GG's, extra Robot Overlord cheese. And that, my friends, is another satisfied customer.